At some point, all assets go to their fundamental value. That is the true purpose for which they were created by the creators. This is zero, just like all these other currencies. Zero. This is somewhere, I don't know, $36,000, $40,000 the last time I checked. And the more of this that they do, whether it's to usher in stable coins or to keep the corporate game going and slosh money around as they're doing right now and as they've been doing, it just goes up in terms of these. But I guarantee you, when it gets to this level, its fundamental value, the only reason why you're going to want to convert this into these is to convert it into then an undervalued asset.
Paper wealth can last for years, but never endures. When confidence wanes, debt gets monetized, and currencies lose value, the system may seem stable even as its foundation erodes. Lynette Zang warns that assets can look inflated, but must eventually reflect their real worth. Lynette Zang, a longtime sound money advocate and market educator, argues that fiat currency is designed to lose value over time, while gold and silver continue to hold monetary relevance. In her view, the public is focused on price, while missing the deeper issue of purchasing power. She points to the long decline in the dollar's value, the growing dependence on confidence in a debt-based system, and the risk that inflationary policies keep pushing nominal asset prices higher before confidence finally breaks. Her core warning is that gold and silver remain undervalued, while many financial assets are being lifted by policy distortions rather than by true value. Now, we present the clips from Lynette Zang's interview. Before we continue to discuss this, please subscribe to our channel and activate the bell icon for timely updates. Thank you, and enjoy the video.
This is official. Go to the Fred, pull up that purchasing power of the consumer dollar, and you will see that, frankly, there's officially 3 cents left out of that original dollar's worth of purchasing power. That is the plan and the danger of fiat, because once you get to know purchasing power, and this is a question I ask a lot of very brilliant people that I learn a lot from, and they really have no clue. Nobody is really, I'm sure there are people that know a lot more about this than I do, but I just haven't met them. That's what I can say about it. But when you have no purchasing power left, and everything is based on confidence, because this is really a con game, and that confidence is lost, what happens next, right? That's hyperinflation. When the public loses confidence in the system, well, they're counting on that confidence to work for this stuff, right? And really, can you tell me the difference between this $20 monopoly money and this $20 Federal Reserve note? Corporations made them both. And we're willing to accept this. The public accepts this. So one of the things that I like to point out, and you asked me about when I travel and even when I am on vacation, and it was much needed and much appreciated. And we passed out what we call our dime cards. I'll come back to that in just a second. But I like to show people, because on the US bills, they make it blatantly obvious that it's a Federal Reserve note. Well, the Federal Reserve is a private corporation, and a note is a debt instrument. So you and I are trading our labor for corporate debt. I pause there because I really want people to think about this, not take my word for it. Go on to the Federal Reserve Education Department, the Fred, F-R-E-D, and start poking around in those debt charts, in those purchasing power charts, in the CPI and the inflation charts and the confidence charts. It's amazing the data that's in there, and everybody anywhere in the world has full access to it. So what we were saying, and I know most people have known my $10 trillion, this isn't it, but I've got lots of them, hundreds of thousands of Vietnamese dongs that I can't buy anything with. This is 100,000 rupiah. Indonesian rupiah, can't buy anything with it. I mean, I'm so wealthy in terms of these bills, but I can't buy anything with any of them. And there are over 4,800 currencies that no longer exist, because if a government says this is money, they can also say, oops, no longer money. And by the way, that's not old stuff. Most people, at least in the US, if they own gold, they own it inside of an IRA, which means they don't have possession of it. It's not segregated. It's just there. And so it would be easy to say it's your patriotic duty. And let's just say that Wall Street spot gold market is at $10,000 when they decide to do an overt confiscation. So they'll say, okay, well, it's your patriotic duty. We really need this gold to maintain our strategic power in the world. And so we're going to pay you $12,000 for it. Most people believing that the spot market is real. I don't know why, but anyway, they do. They go, well, wow, look at this. Gold is only worth 10,000 and they're willing to give me 12,000. Okay. And so they would not get a lot of pushback. And for a lot of people that have been stacking outside of IRAs, they too, if they are dumb enough, I shouldn't say that. If they are naive enough to believe the Wall Street lie, would say, well, look at this, it's only worth 10. So they'd get a lot of gold in that way. However, the person that spent $12 million on a collectible coin, which is not this coin, by the way, it's much, much less than that, but it's still in the same classification. And anybody that can afford $12 million for 1 ounce of gold is likely to either write the laws like Treasury Secretary Wooden did in 33 when he knew what he was doing with the currency and the money system, or they are likely to be able to lobby those that write the laws. They ain't turning it in for $12,000. That's not going to happen. And so I had my Uncle Al, who was an antique dealer, and I learned so much from him over the years. And I think this was universal. I don't think it was an accident, because I was born and lived in a period of time when you could not own more than 5 ounces of gold any other way than these pre-1933 coins. And he had, knowing what I know now, he had 2 tall floor safes. He had at least 3,000 ounces legally, the kind of gold that he actually could use in the normal marketplace. So for me, this is what if I'm right and what if I'm wrong? It doesn't matter. And even for those people that are absolutely convinced, even though they've done it, it's either, I'll have to look at my list. I've been on vacation, forgive me, but either 5 times or 7 times in this country, and they're still doing it through inflation and through taxation and all regulation and all those other means. There is this bridge in Brooklyn, because I think you're being rather naive. But if you're married to that, okay, because you got to do what you're comfortable with. How about properly diversifying? So there's gold and then there's gold. And I can guarantee you that at some point, I can't give you a lot of guarantees, but I can give you this one. At some point, all assets go to their fundamental value. That is the true purpose for which they were created by the creators. This is zero, just like all these other currencies. Zero. This is somewhere, I don't know, $36,000, $40,000 the last time I checked. And the more of this that they do, whether it's to usher in stable coins or to keep the corporate game going and slosh money around as they're doing right now and as they've been doing, it just goes up in terms of these. But I guarantee you, when it gets to this level, its fundamental value, the only reason why you're going to want to convert this into these is to convert it into then an undervalued asset. Right now, tell me, other than gold and silver, there is no asset that is undervalued Not one, because it benefits governments to inflate the stock market. I think we're in melt up mode. I've been saying that for a while, even with some of the gyrations in the markets. This is what always happens before a crash. But do I think the crash is imminent? No, I think we've got more straight up to go. Look what's going on, right? And the markets, I think the S&P is at an all-time high, or the markets are near all-time. I mean, come on, guys. Come on. People can't feed their families, but things are going really well for the consumer. Come on, guys. This is not rocket science. Just take those rose-colored glasses off, look at reality, and protect your assets. That's that simple. And even more protection with this. So just properly diversify, because there's gold and then there's gold. And there's silver and then there's silver. But gold and silver in any form at all, are monetary at its base.
A major part of this outlook is the difference between ownership inside the system and ownership outside it. Lynette Zang stresses that many people believe they own protection, but in practice, they may only own exposure through paper structures, retirement accounts, or assets that depend on institutional promises. That leaves investors vulnerable if governments change the rules, reprice markets, or impose controls during a crisis. Zhang also says markets may still climb before a serious break. That does not mean they are healthy. Liquidity can keep asset prices rising even as living standards decline. Gold remains a monetary metal. Silver is both monetary and industrial. She expects hard assets to grow in importance as trust in paper weakens. Let's get back to the interview.
Inflation is a constant revaluation, because at one point, everything was judged against its weight in gold or its weight in silver, not its cost in dollars, right? The reason why gold is the primary currency metal is because it's stable. There's a finite amount of it and it's indestructible. So it is a true tool of measure. Can the same thing be said for dollars or euros or yen? Government money, corporate money, God's money. Gold and silver were created in the universe, whether you believe in God or a higher power or whatever. I'm not particularly religious, but I know I didn't create those trees and I didn't create gold and silver. And this is the money that corporations have never been able to duplicate in a lab, all the properties that these two commodities have. And oh, by the way, this is used in 33 different global enterprises around the world, global sectors of the economy. Silver is used in 36 different global enterprises and sectors in the economy. This stuff is used in one. It's just used in the financial system. And this is my physical representation of a Bitcoin, which I've now figured out exactly why they put it in these plastic cases. And it's because this gold coating wears off so easily. The demand for the physical metals, whether it's silver for AI and all the build outs or what have you, it's a strategic metal. China is no longer exporting it, but it does get used up. Or it's for gold, with massive demand from global central banks, not developed nations, because after all, they have this stuff. It doesn't mean anything. But they're buying more gold and have been since, that shift actually started in 2005. My personal goal, and it is not selfish that you want sound money back in the system and you want everybody sitting with silver and gold, because we have to take our power back. If we don't get redeemable gold, and I know that can sound crazy to people, but if we don't get redeemable gold back in this system again, what does the system look like for the future? It's a full freaking surveillance economy. You don't do what the corporations want you to do, boom, you're cut out of that system. So I'm telling you right now, without any doubt in my mind, and this is something else that, yep, I love New Zealand because most people have a kitchen garden. They're sustainable. They're community oriented. They come together, they help people. So it's the mantra, and we need to be focused on developing that mantra, those things that we need to lead a reasonable standard of living, which is to create that surety in food, water, energy, security, barterability, wealth preservation, that community piece, and shelter. And in a community, you have different opinions. Yay! Let's celebrate those differences, right? Let's see, because when you have all of those different thoughts coming together, you have a more rich tapestry, and you also have you're better able to deal with anything else that comes along. And if we don't create surety in those areas and everything you have is inside of the system and the system says jump, you have to say how high. But if we have redeemable gold, which means I don't like what I'm seeing the government do, I don't like what I'm seeing the central banks do, give me my gold. Doesn't have to be 1-to-1 backed, 40%. I'm okay with that. You could keep the rest of the garbage. Give me my 40% gold back. Now the public has the power. If we do not take our power back, I'm nervous to see what that means for the future of our children. Me, I'm old. I know what I've done. I'm not worried about myself, and I'm not even worried about my immediate family, my children and my immediate grandchildren, because I know what I've done and what I intend to do. But I am worried for everybody else's children, because that's not the kind of world that I want to leave them in some form, aside from the inflation, the taxation, and everything that we've been talking about with confiscation. There have been 5 or seven confiscations of gold in this country in different ways, right? So including the inflation, what have you, and nobody ever talked about it. I didn't even talk about it like this. But in 1971, when they disallowed foreign governments to exchange dollars into their gold that we were holding from them, is that not a form of confiscation?
The bigger prediction here is that gold and silver will rise as trust in the current system falls. Lynette Zang argues that fiat currencies lose real purchasing power, while tangible assets regain strength when debt, inflation, and policy control go too far. In such a reset, gold stops being just another trade and becomes the measure again. Silver can also gain because it links monetary demand with industrial use, especially as supply pressure and global competition increase. Zhang warns the future may be defined by control. Digitized finance could enable authorities to monitor and direct economic decisions unless people hold assets outside the system. Her message, go beyond price and focus on protecting independence, options, and buying power before confidence fails. Her view is clear: while paper wealth may persist, true protection lies in precious metals and community preparedness. ESS. Share your thoughts on her analysis in the comment section below. If you find this video informative, please support and turn on notifications to stay informed about our latest videos. See you in the following video. Thanks for watching.